Hello everyone, welcome to Lust with Moss and my best friend, Shannon.
Howdy y'all.
Is that better?
Way better.
He wanted a better intro. Anyways, so tonight I'm drinking tequila, which means I'm talking about porn. Cheers. Porn. You know you like it. You know you watch it. Even if you pretend like you don't, you still do. We all do.
You know this guy does.
Of course we all do. You know, one of my significant others, I mean, this would have had to have been back in like the early 2000s, where you actually had to go to the XXX store or whatever and buy the DVD.
Yeah, that was like at the beginning of smartphones.
Yeah.
The very beginning.
Yeah, we just had like the Nokia phone. It was nothing,
Yeah,
yeah. So you had to go and get the DVD.
Dial-up porn.
And you had to embarrass yourself.
Yes.
And
humiliated.
especially if you were dating or with a Hooters girl at the time. So to go and get like a whole bunch of porn just didn't make any sense. Anyways, I knew that he was into a bunch of porn, which was totally fine. I have no problems with some porn. That's awesome. But then one time we were moving and we had some of our friends come to help us move, and they picked up the couch and they turned it over so they could get it through the door. And we're talking about like 30 porns that came out of DVDs.
Whoa,
yeah, he had been hiding them from me.
Hot shit.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. But you know, some people just have this like addiction. Not even, I'm not gonna say an addiction. Just they like it more than others, you know? But that was back in early 2000s. So now we all have that same problem.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, how many times a week do you look at porn?
Too many.
How many?
Times.
A lot. How many times a day? Was that easier than a
probably
week?
more than once, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about,
Maybe,
you know?
possibly 7 days a week. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. You know, it happens. So that same issue that I had with him, like back in early 2000s, like we all have that issue now. The only difference is we don't have to hide them in the couch. We just hide it in our incognito search history. And then...
Could you imagine? Can you imagine being at the pearly gates and guess what you got to do to get inside?
Is show your search history.
To actually look at it yourself.
You don't want to. Because like I said, every week you might have something different.
Oh,
Some weeks I'm into this, then other weeks I'm into this. So then it's like, that's the same thing, is now it's so accessible that, you know, every fantasy that you've ever had that you're never going to get with your partner, because, you know, they're not going to do that, and because they're looking at their fantasies, and y'all's
they're
fantasies
not going
are...
to ask you for that.
Exactly.
Or, like, they're going to be,
yeah,
like,
or
weirded out.
Or your partner's actually watching similar porn, but you don't even know it. Because you guys are
right.
like not
they're
even...
going to be weirded out. And it just so happens that you guys are watching the same
Exactly.
shit.
But for some reason, whoever mentions it first is going to be the bad guy.
Yeah, you're going to be the one that's like,
yeah, of course.
oh, you're disgusting. Tell me again how you wanted a coconut over your head.
Yeah, so good. Anyways, a long story short, with my, you know, ex-significant other, it actually started giving me a complex because he was into Hispanic women. And so I'm a white woman, so I started I'm actually a natural blonde. So I started dyeing my hair dark, going to the tanning bed, darkening my skin, because I thought, you know, if I make myself look like the girls that are on the porn that he's watching all the time, that he would think that, you know, was more attracted to me. But that's not what it was. It was the act of watching the porn. I mean, there's just something, sometimes it's just the act of doing it. And that becomes kind of the addiction.
It's not getting, I know that I feel like there's a big part of it's not getting, never getting rejected. No rejection, ever.
And now with AI, can you imagine?
You can have J-Lo sex.
So, anyways, I've been on TikTok and they have these like guys and they're like, hey, I'm single and I'm 34 years old and I live in Texas, and they're AI guys. And these dumb bitches are literally sitting there like, hey, I'm fucking, you know, May from South Dakota, whatever. You're hot. I'm thinking, dude, these are not real men. And this happening with, yeah, I swear. And they literally, I'm thinking, these are AI guys. So if that's the case, and women could create, and men could create, not only when they had a specific porn star that they liked to watch, but now they could create the exact fantasy that they want and put themselves into it. Why would you ever want to fuck your significant other again?
Nostalgia, like playing a record player or something?
Well, it's because of intimacy.
A cassette? Yeah.
Nobody wants to touch each other anymore. That's the truth. It's like the thought of getting your significant other in the mood where you're like, oh, I've had a long day with the kids, blah, 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 I just cooked dinner, I gotta work. And then the thought of like, oh my God, who's gonna start it? Who's gonna initiate it? I initiated it last time. It should be his turn or it should be her turn. Well, she's not doing it. I'm not doing it. All of a sudden, resentment, you go to bed, and what do? You put on your porn, and you masturbate, whether you're doing it as a dude or you're getting your dildo, ladies, because you know you're doing it. Okay, I do it like 3 times a day sometimes. So, it is what it is. But it's the lack of being touched, because being touched and having intimacy right now is so much harder than getting an AI or getting a toy that feels so good that you forget the part of sex that's supposed to be enjoyable in the first place, and that's supposed to be like touch.
Yeah.
But we've gotten so like just, I don't know, we disconnected.
Out of touch.
Yeah,
Literally.
completely out of touch.
Literally out of touch.
Completely numb to like what real intimacy looks like, because we honestly can fulfill our weekly fantasies or our daily fantasies by a Google search. And now, not only will we be able to fill that fantasy with a Google search, but we'll be able to create it. We'll be able to create the perfect woman. We'll be able to create the perfect man. And we'll be able to have this video visual with us being intimate with that person. And it's really gonna blow our reality to, do you really want to deal with your spouse anymore? Or do you just wanna have your AI toys and stuff? Like it's going to a weird place.
And it still comes down to that 3D. The AI is still a lot of 2D. It's flat.
Yeah.
It's flat and it's paper.
Like, I know right away that these dudes on here are not real. But there are
right.
some women on there that are like,
hello, I would like to make love with your face.
Hello, handsome. And I'm like, dude, he's just a made-up AI character. Like, what are you talking about? But, some people are just very disconnected, and they're searching for something that they think they want, but what they're lacking is intimacy. So they're trying to find it with a vision of what their perfect man would be or their perfect woman would be. And at the end of the day, that perfect woman is going to be artificial, and vice versa with a man. And you're going to completely lose all intimacy and touch. And that's what's happening. I mean, honestly. It's just becoming like just a chore.
It's a touchless society now. That you got people that you can just have like deliver you your food. You don't have to interact with anyone. You don't have to see anyone that you might possibly have known.
Don't hate on food delivery. I love food delivery. I'm so lazy. Usually I've been drinking or something, or I've been smoking or whatever, and I don't want to have to go drive.
Too.
It's so safe. Yeah, of course. I'm not going to risk getting a DUI when I can just have some beer delivered. I mean, that's way easier.
Or, if you get hungry at the end of the night, you gotta have something delivered,
Of course.
And you don't want just the same pizza.
Yeah. Anyways, they have everything nowadays. So, yeah, no, it really is. We're all getting very disconnected from what's real and what's not real. And now that we have this new AI, and we're really going to be confused on... not only are we going to be confused on what's real and what's not real in the media, but we're really going to be confused on what's real and what's not real with our own wants and our own desires. Because when you're given everything you want, and this artificial person or intelligence will give you the things that your spouse won't or your significant other won't, then it's going to be a test of, do you miss that intimacy with them? Do you miss the touch? Do you miss that warmth? Or are you okay with putting on a porn, getting a really like zooped up dildo and masturbating 3 times a day? I've been at both places. Sometimes I'm like, ugh, it's so much easier, and then other times I'm like, ugh, man, I really would like someone to like really suck on my boobies. That would be fun. So until they find something like that, I don't know. It's just I haven't found anything that like gives me that and the sucking out my boobies and all that at the same time.
Very nice.
Anyways, who knows? But it's something to think about. So, you know, all of us sitting at, you know, watching our porn, we all do it, you know. Maybe one day we'll turn the clock backwards and decide that we actually want to have like real sex again.
Hopefully before we turn into Total Recall or something.
Exactly. Anyways, thank you for turning in to Lust with Muzz. Until next time, cheers. Am I cheersing by myself?
No, you're not cheering by yourself.
Gives me more time to dance. Anyways, and my best friend Shannon. And anyways, have a fabulous evening.